Hey, if you're a veteran and you don't know where to start when you're filing a VA disability claim, don't worry, you're not alone. Filing can feel very overwhelming, but getting organized is simply the first step. Coming up with a strategy and building out a blueprint can make this process so much easier. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly what to do first so you can avoid mistakes and start building a strong, clean claim. But before I do that, I want to say that most denied claims come back because people or veterans just simply didn't prepare. They didn't use a VSO. They just went online. They filed a claim without putting a whole bunch of thought into it. They threw spaghetti on the wall and they got the claim back denied. And while it's okay to get a denied claim, I will tell you that sending in a half-done claim is going to take more time than normal. I mean, you could be looking at a year just to simply get a denied claim that tells you, that you didn't have any evidence to support it, and now you're behind an entire year. So it's very important to develop a strategy, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So with that being said, I want you to start with a strategy in mind and not just file the claim. The first thing I want you to do, and this, you're going to get some action from this, okay? Because I'm going to tell you up front, a lot of these steps, they're going to take you a while to get done. But the first one is just go online, VA.gov, create an account, and actually click on the button to file a claim. File a claim, push that button. That's going to at least start your intent to file. And you're going to get a little screen that pops up that says you've initiated the claims process. Take a picture of that and get a notebook and write down the date, okay? Because this process will take you some time, and knowing that date and when you first started may help you out later if you start filing for appeal. So I want you to write that date down, because remember, the topic of this video, the focus of this video is to get you organized. I want you to have that. So write that down. Intent to file, dated today's date, okay? Just don't make the mistake of trying to click through and filling it out really quick, because it actually is a pretty easy process, and it's just a few questions and you can file your claim in 5 to 10 minutes. But if you're not ready to file it, you're gonna simply file it and you're gonna push it forward and it's gonna get denied. And you're gonna be wasting months and months and months of time. So don't make that mistake of just rushing through there and knocking it out. Just get that intent to file done so you'll get your back pay. That's super important. Okay, the next thing I want you to do, if you want, is to download, I got this free Google Sheets document. It's got 3 tabs, and it essentially walks you through everything I'm talking about today. If you want to download that, there's a link to in the description box below. If you don't, it's okay. Just use a notebook, the notebook that we just talked about, and that'll work fine as well. The next step is I want you to decide what conditions you're going to file for, okay? I talk to vets all the time, and myself included. I'm going to file for my knees because in the military I had to take a PT test, and as a result, my knees have gone bad 20 years later. Listen, that one might not be the best one right now, right out the gate. That might not be a good strategy because the VA is going to deny that, especially if that's your justification. So I want you to write down anything that you are very confident that you're going to be able to get service connected, okay? And you might not know how to feel confident about these things, but I think throughout the watching this video, you'll kind of understand what will be required. So I want you to write down anything that you're confident that you can connect. And then the next thing I want you to do is, and hopefully you still have your service treatment records, okay? Your medical records from when you were in the service. I want you to go through that with a highlighter, and I want you to, or tabs if you don't want to mess up your record, just get like some sticky notes or some tabs. And I want you to either tab each page or physically highlight or underline every diagnosis that you were given while you were in the military, okay? And I think you're gonna be shocked at some of them because you may not have even remembered that a doctor, diagnosed you with something. So I want you to highlight that, and I want you to use your notebook and write down, different things that you find. If you're using my Google Sheets document, there's a place on tab 1 to document all those things on there. I also want you to look for anything that you complained about during your annual physicals or just simply when you went to the doctor. If you complained about, an achy elbow or a sore wrist or, your ankles, anything, any injuries that you had to go to the doctor for, maybe you had a bad cough, whatever it is, I want you to document it. Symptoms, everything, okay? So either on that notebook or on that digital Google Sheets document, that will be perfect. We're going to keep this information for later because it's going to be helpful, okay? And it could be helpful 3 years down the road when you are diagnosed with something and you're trying to figure out how to connect it back to service. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to try to articulate why that condition that you currently have is connected to your military service. Now, if you're using the Google Sheets document, just click over to tab 2 and there's going to be an option there. Everything's going to carry over, all of your symptoms, your diagnosed conditions, and you can physically write in there or type in there why you think it's service connected. And this is going to jog your memory. It's going to make you think and brainstorm. Why is this service connected? Maybe you wrote on tab 1 that you went to the doctor for a sore knee after you fell off of a deuce and a half or out of a Humvee, or you're out in the field, whatever it is, you're running and you had a sore knee. I want you to write that. I want you to write, on January, whatever the date is in your medical records, that you injured yourself while in a training, environment or deployed or whatever it is, even if it's your off-duty time, and you went to the doctor, the military doctor, and in your service treatment records, the doctor diagnosed you with whatever, right? And I want you to just document that. I just want you to keep it 2 or 3 sentences. We're simply looking for articulation to the military, okay? And if you're writing something in there and really you shouldn't have anything in there that's not already connected, because if it's in your service treatment records, folks, it will be connected. We just got to make sure that we articulate it right. And that's what this is doing, is we're helping to articulate how it's connected to the military. We're giving you that strategy. We're helping you figure out what should actually be those first claims that you push forward. So after you do that, I want you to think about whether or not you have a current diagnosis, right? This thing could have happened to you 15 years ago, but have you gone back to the doctor? Have you gone back to the doctor and said, hey, I have a bad knee or a bad elbow or whatever it is that you wrote? Maybe it's sinusitis or allergies or bad headaches, whatever it is that you wrote from your service treatment records. I want you to answer that question either on the digital Google Sheets document in tab 2. There'll be a check mark. Do you have a current diagnosis? I want you to click yes or no, okay? If it's no, it'll ask you if you currently have symptoms related to that. And if you do, I want you to click yes. And then, of course, the right answer is you need to go to the doctor. And you need to talk to the doctor about what you had diagnosed and the current symptoms you have, and get that doctor to determine if you still have that problem. That way you get your current diagnosis, okay? So you want to make sure that you have that done. And then in the digital document, what it'll do is it'll use those prompts, and it'll help you figure out whether or not you have enough to file a claim. And it will tell you on there like, hey, I think you have enough to file a claim. And it tells you to print this thing out, or at least bring those ideas or those concepts to your VSO if you choose to, and get a second opinion from your VSO. I will say this Google Sheets document's not perfect, but it's a brainstorm worksheet that will help you get you into the right place. So what we just did here in this video is we matched what the law says to the VA rater on what is required to win a VA disability claim. And I will tell you, the VA is not looking for magic. They just want you to answer a few things. Number one, they want you to be able to show them, with evidence, of course, that you have a current diagnosed disability. Okay, they want to make sure that you have a current problem. Then they want to be able to make sure that there was something that happened in the military that, with that problem, that there was an event or some type, or an injury or something that happened in the military. And they essentially just want to connect those two together. And that's what we just did. We went through our service treatment records. We found symptoms, complaints, and things that the doctor diagnosed us with. And then we brainstormed our way into determining whether or not we currently experience those problems. Do we currently have those aches and pains in our knee and our elbow, wherever? And do we have a current diagnosis? And that's essentially all you need. That's everything, and that's what we just did. This is also gonna help you figure out what you're missing. And most of you will probably just be missing a current diagnosis, which is simple. If you have those problems, which most of us, right, if we have headaches, we probably don't go to the doctor, but we will have to go to the doctor in this case because it will help us. And I promise you'll be missing something because you got to have a full package. So knowing this stuff, it's half the battle. All right, now that that part's done, let's move on to the most important part, and that is making sure that you have evidence to support this, these ideas that we just put down into our brainstorm worksheet. Now, there's two types of evidence that we're going to talk about, and they're really the only types of evidence that you're going to likely use to send off to the VA. And that's going to be medical evidence and any type of non-medical evidence, like lay statements, a personal statement that, or a buddy statement, or even photographs could be something. But essentially what you're going to do there is you've already done this in the worksheet or in your notebook. You've said, okay, I have this condition. This is how it happened in the military, and I still experience these problems. I still have a current diagnosis. What you need to do now is you need to be able to get the evidence to prove that something did happen in the military, okay? If you fell out of that Humvee and you hurt your knee, did you go to the doctor, and did the doctor write down in the notes that you got injured and you hurt your knee, and because of that you have an injured knee? Did the doctor write that? If the doctor did write that, I want you to make sure that you highlight. Remember, we talked about highlighting in our service treatment records. You're going to get a page out of that, and what I do is what I do when I'm doing my claims is I get that medical record and I scan it. First I print it, I scan it, and I put it in an electronic folder on my computer that says, VA disability claims, and then I put another folder with that record in there, okay? And then I'll also print it out and I'll put it in a folder, a regular folder, so that I can carry it with me to my examination whenever the VA sends it to me, because they won't always have that with them, and you can show them right there, okay? And we'll talk about presentation a little bit later. So then if you feel like you have more evidence, there's nothing wrong with getting more evidence. If you have a friend that was in the military with you and they witnessed you get injured, you could have them write a statement to talk about that. You will also want to write your own personal statement, and I will do videos on how to write personal statements. But in your personal statement, you want to spell it out for the claims rater. You want to make sure that you explain to them what you're going for. So I usually put the diagnostic code for the VA disability claim that I'm going for, and then I'll actually write out what it is: migraine headaches. And then I will explain to them that I was diagnosed with migraine headaches, and I was diagnosed while I was in the military. I'll give them the date. I'll even reference the medical records. I will talk to them about the symptoms, the frequency, and all the problems associated with that in a statement. And I will sign it, and I will upload that to the folder on my desktop, and I will also put it in my personal folder that I can carry with me to the doctor when I go see my VA CMP exam. All right. So those are the things that I want you to do when you do your very first claim, okay? I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get the rating that you deserve right away because there's a lot at play with VA disability claims. But that's your first. That's how you set this strategy up, and that's how you prepare your package. Now, essentially, when you get that done, and you go, and I would highly recommend going to a VSO, because if you have all this stuff done, they can help you file it. They can give you ideas. They might be able to tell you that you potentially might have other conditions that maybe you're currently dealing with that are not service connected or are not easily service connected, but maybe with their experience, they might be able to help you do that. That's something called a secondary condition. And really, that's a little bit more advanced. But if you're putting in your first claim and you already did your intent to file and you have a good package and you're going with a VSO that can hold your hand, they might be able to help you out with getting that secondary condition. Now, a lot of times these secondary conditions, they're going to require a Nexus letter, but you can do it an easier way and go to your doctor. So let's just say that you have an ankle condition that you feel very confident will get approved by the VA because you were experiencing that while you're in the service, and you feel just really good about it. But you also kind of feel, and maybe your VSO feels, that your neck condition or your knee or your hip condition could have been impacted or caused by your ankle condition because of the way you walk, your gait, and such. So what a VSO is going to recommend, and what I will recommend, is, especially if you're being treated for this, is go talk to your doctor and explain to them what happened to you in the military with your ankle, and see if they think that there's any chance that knee condition or that hip condition could have been caused because of your ankle problems in the military and progressively getting worse through the years. And if they think there's a chance and they're willing to articulate that for you in your medical records, that would be extremely helpful in getting a secondary condition approved. Now, if you don't have that, there are other options, and you can get a Nexus letter written by your doctor for free, of course. But there are doctors out there, there's medical professionals that specialize in reviewing records for the military members, the veterans, and they understand how secondary conditions work, and they will give you an honest evaluation and write a Nexus letter. Now, they do charge anywhere from, probably $150 all the way up, thousands of dollars. I think the average probably, $1,000 or $1,500. I will give you a link in the description to a directory that I have that has these medical professionals, and you can use them, but I only recommend them for secondary conditions when you're getting a little bit more. I do highly suggest going through a VSO and doing all these steps before you file. File smart, don't do it fast. Believe me, I've done it. You get them kicked back to you, they're denied, and it took 8 months of just wasting time. So the last thing I'm going to tell you is prepare yourself for the long game. This, you need to expect delays, denials, and appeals. It's normal. Denials are actually good, especially when you put some thought into this, because you're going to get your records back or your denial letter back, and it's going to tell you what you messed up, and you can fix that. So the more organized you are right now, the stronger your case is going to be, and the more efficient you're going to be at this. Okay, good luck. Go out there, get your VA disability claim, get the rating that you deserve, but do it in an organized fashion and make sure that you are prepared for this.